Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Brianna, and I wanted to talk about my natural hair journey. I grew up standing next to the kitchen stove for what felt like hours, getting my hair pressed with a hot comb and Murray's grease. I can't even call it grease. It was so thick, it was pomade. It made my hair stiff as a board, my scalp couldn't breathe, my hair would not move once this pomade went in. I hated to see my mom coming with that orange can. My grandma's weapon of choice was Blue Magic, and my cousin Kim styled my hair for most of my life. She's a beautician, and I prefer for her to do my hair most of the time because she did not use grease. It always came out beautifully. I would say when I was around 9 or 10 years old, I got my first and last perm. And it was a decision made between my cousin Kim and my mom. And once they realized it wasn't the best decision for my hair, we ended up growing it out gradually. And from there, my hair was long, thick, and healthy afterwards. Um, I didn't really make any major changes or decisions to my hair until college. I decided I was bored with my hair and I wanted to do something different, and that different was red hair. I told my parents I wanted to dye my hair red, and my dad told me that he was going to kick me out the house if I did that. By then, I was already in college. I may have been at least 20, I think. Um, I remember my cousin Kim encouraging me and telling me, no, you're not going to get kicked out of the house. Before I went full blown red, I got a sew in with some accents of color in it. Um, when I eventually did dye my hair red, I did not get kicked out of the house. By then, I was in college, I believe, but I still needed to come back home somewhere, right? So it turned out fine. Um, That also probably wasn't the best decision for my hair because I was not getting my ends clipped regularly. If you're going to dye your hair, you definitely want to get your ends clipped. I mean, you need to anyway, but especially when you're adding some color. I eventually dyed my hair back to its natural color, and I say towards the end of college, I experimented some with like some sew-ins and wigs, and after I graduated, I began to notice more natural hair bloggers and YouTubers, and I decided I wanted to go natural after looking at Mahogany Curls YouTube videos. Like, I just loved her big, luscious curls, and I was like, ooh, I want to do that. I don't recall doing any major big chop. I didn't. I just stopped using flat irons on my hair, and when my hair was wet, I would chop off the straight ends. Not saying I would recommend doing that if you're considering going natural. You probably want to consult a professional and go about that the right way, but that's what I did. And I started off doing rotted curl sets on blown out hair, some eco styling gel, and rotted curls. And that's what I did for a while until I started playing with wash and goes and twist outs. I started doing wash and goes on my hair right before my brother passed, and we had somewhat of a Tom and Jerry brother sister type of bond, and we would tease each other and make fun of one another a little bit. And he said I looked like Frederick Douglass, and he could get away with that because that's my brother. But anybody else, try Jesus, not me. um, there are times where my family didn't quite understand my hair choices, especially, my parents. Sometimes they would just straight up tell me, I don't like your hair today. And I'd be like, is what it is. It's it's your hair. I mean, hey, it came from you. And through that process, when you're transitioning, like it can be an awkward stage of figuring out what products work best for your hair, finding the right routines and regimens, and you just got to love yourself through it. Some days your hair may come out the way you want it to, other days not so much, but you just kind of have to go through the process. I'm still learning, what hair routines and products work best for my hair. Um, I cared a lot. Well, I wouldn't say. My brother was definitely influential to me. Even when I didn't always take his advice, I always cared what he thought. And him telling me what he thought about my hair choices, that was, no exception. When I accepted a job working for high end retail on Michigan Avenue, Ryan advised me not to wear my hair natural. And this time I accepted that advice. I knew that it wasn't to be malicious or to hurt my feelings. That was Ryan's way of trying to protect me. He knew that some people wouldn't understand it or respect it or consider it polished or acceptable. So I would spend money that I couldn't really afford straightening my hair either every week or every 2 weeks at the salon for a hairstyle that I didn't necessarily want, but I considered to be polished and acceptable. I didn't stay at that job long. I was there a couple of months until I eventually walked away. It just wasn't the right fit for me. I was chasing after sales. There was a lot of, competition, and it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Like it was a job. For the time being, I was grateful to have that job, but I definitely felt stifled. I wore all black dress clothes to work every day, 5 days out of the week. Kind of felt like I was going to my own funeral every day, to be honest. I knew that I was eventually going to leave. I just didn't know when until that day finally came. I guess I'll tell the story of what happened. One day, a white lady came into the store looking to do a return of this cream sweater that she had. There were no tags, no receipts. There were stains on the sweater. I politely tell her I cannot honor the return. And she looks at me and she says, "You're a nigger." I reach for the phone at the register to call my manager over. She says, "Call the police. I'm not the one they're coming for." She snatches her sweater from the register, walks away. I spot my manager not far within the distance. I tell him what happens. He pursued the lady and spoke with her. I believe security was notified. I think she stormed out of the store. My manager proceeded to talk with me, and we went to HR and further discussed what happened. But at this point, I knew that I was done. Like that was it. I gave somewhat of a 2 weeks notice. I think I left before then, but 4 was completely up. But I did give some type of notice, before leaving. Ironically, I don't feel that I really began to really come into my own and discover my personal style too much until I walked away from sales and retail. I began to discover it a little bit. through putting outfits together on Polyvore. I minored in fashion design, so I got to, explore, my fashion sense and creativity then, but I definitely felt stifled. For a long time, I styled myself according to what I thought would be viewed as acceptable in the eyes of others. In the past few years, I've felt more freedom to explore my own personal style and ask myself, what do I like? What do I think? If I ever had a daughter, I don't want her to feel that her hair has to be straight to be beautiful or acceptable. I don't want her to feel that her hair is a burden to me or herself. Um, I grew up feeling like my hair was nappy, unruly, difficult to comb, a burden to comb. Even when there wasn't anything verbally said to give me that impression, sometimes it was a silent vibe or impression that I would feel. Some type of silent undertone. I want I would want my future daughter to, feel comfortable wearing braids, twist outs, wash and goes, finger coils, all of it. And I want her to also know there's nothing wrong with wearing your hair straight, adding extensions, experimenting with wigs if you so choose. And I've noticed there's men and women that have criticized black women for wearing wigs or extensions, and I don't really get it. I don't get how someone else's personal preference affects you. I don't think that straightening your hair, wearing extensions or a wig necessarily means that you don't love your natural hair, your heritage, or you aren't necessarily pro black. It can simply be a preference that you're entitled to. And black men and women have been shunned and ostracized about their hair since slavery. Um, I also think that I'm more likely to see another black person judge other black people for their preferences opposed to someone outside of my race. And I don't really get it. I think you should style your hair in a way that makes you feel comfortable and confident. You have that right. It's your hair, your life. Do what you want with it. The time where I felt that my natural hair was celebrated and respected was when a close friend of mine's mom asked me to model for her hair care line, Tress Organics. And it was an honor. It was a special moment. Part of my self love journey has been redefining how I view my natural hair, and I'm grateful for women like Mrs. Trice that has encouraged me along that journey. I'm wearing a shirt that defines the term nappy as beautifully coiled, chemical free, unaltered, versatile, styled by Mother Nature. Oh, and I added some hair because I do what I want, natural or not, as should you. Good day, good evening, and good night.